Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Man, I'm so tired of these damn sanctioning bodies. All this talk about who could possibly fight for the interim. Let me tell you, they do what the hell they want, man. You got Moses Itauma ranked number 1. Then you got Hrgovic. I think Dubois too. I'll just show y'all what I'm talking about, man. Because for me, it's frustrating as hell. So you look right here. Let me make this a little bit larger for y'all. So like for the WBO, Fabio Wardley is a champion. But then you got Itauma ranked number 1, Hrgovic number 2, Dubois number 3, Joshua's number 4, Zhilei Zhang's 5. Then Jared Anderson's number 6. Wardley's fighting Dubois, who's at number 3. Itauma is fighting, what's his name, man, from seeing his face and everything, man, Jermaine Franklin, right? Filip Hrgovic is kind of in the breeze. Zhilei Zhang is in the breeze. AJ, well, we all know he has a lot going on right now, but it looks like he's planning to come back, take a fight, then fight Fury. All I'm getting at is, when it comes to the sanction body, what is all this bullcrap about? They don't know who it's going to be. My thing is, Fabio Wardley and Dubois, depending on who wins, they keep saying the winner is going to get Usyk. Now they're here saying that, Itauma could be fighting Fabio Wardley or the winner of Wardley and Dubois. You see, it's just all bullshit. Because to me, Usyk's not even in the mix in here. Okay? But we understand the undisputed distinction takes precedence. But my thing is, if they're not going that route, to me, the winner of Wardley and Dubois should be fighting Itauma. If Itauma's not available, you go to Hrgovic. If Hrgovic's not available, you go to AJ. If AJ's not available, then you go to Zhang. If Zhang's not available, you go to Jared Anderson. You go down the pecking order. You don't jump around like a goddamn kangaroo. And that's why for me it's frustrating. So the idea that the number 1 ranked fighter should automatically fight for a world title, it just sounds logical to me. In most sports, rankings determine opportunity. But in boxing, things don't work that cleanly. That's why Zuffa boxing is gaining a lot of traction. And the heavyweight division right now is a perfect example, especially what's going on with this damn WBO. Having multiple options like Itauma, Hrgovic, Zhang, instead of a strict pecking order. I just think that tells you everything you need to know. Rankings are only one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Now, behind the scenes, boxing is less like a sport with a single governing body, we know that, and more like a collection of competing businesses. Sanctioning bodies, promoters, networks, and fighters all have their own interests, and those interests don't always align with what I think us as fans consider fair. You know what I'm saying? Because you already know what comes first. The Wu-Tang cream, cha-ching-ching, dollar bill, y'all. I mean, at the highest level, boxing is driven by revenue, right? You got a sanctioning body where they may rank Itauma as the number 1 contender, but if a fight involving Zhang generates more global interest, or if Anthony Joshua becomes available, suddenly the best fight becomes the one that sells the most. Sanctioning bodies collect fees from title fights. Now you understand why. The fight that sells the most is the fight they go with. Bigger fights mean bigger purses, and bigger purses mean bigger sanctioning fees. So there's always an incentive to approve the fight that generates the most money, not necessarily the one that follows the rankings perfectly. And that's why Zuffa boxing, a lot of fans are excited about that, because you're going to get truly 50-50 fights, you're going to get drama, and they're going to follow a strict pecking order. If you don't want to step up and fight, you get your ass out the rack and stack and they go to the next guy. Now, this thing about somebody was like, nah, man, it's just networks and politics. I do believe that's another major factor, but that's not the only factor. that whole thing about network alignment. But me looking at these guys here, I just don't think that's going to be an issue. If one fighter signed with one promoter, tied to one network, another fighter is tied to a different platform, making the fight becomes complicated. I understand that. So deals had to be negotiated, revenue has to be split, and egos had to be managed. I just don't think that's the issue here with these guys. So I don't even want to waste my time talking a whole lot about that, but what we do understand is if one fighter's with DAZN, another fighter's with ESPN or another platform, if those networks don't cooperate, then the fight stalls, even if it's the logical matchup. And, hey, there's nothing fans can do about that. You know what I'm saying? But we do know promoters will protect their fighters. And if they believe a fighter like Itauma is still developing, they may not push him for the hardest fights, immediately. They'll probably just sit back and say, okay, the ranking says he deserves it, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Then you got this mandatory versus voluntary defense stuff. You know what I'm saying? Sanctioning bodies operate within two types of title defenses. Mandatory, where the champion's ordered to fight a specific contender. Then voluntary, the champion can choose an opponent. And this is where things get tricky. And this is where we as fans start pulling out our hair saying, okay, WTF, man, you know what I'm saying? Because mandatory challenges can be delayed through step aside, a contender gets paid to wait, injuries, scheduling conflicts, negotiations dragging out. This creates flexibility for the champion and sanctioning body to pursue bigger fights first. It's all in the convenience and for the benefit of the sanctioning body. You understand? Then you got the timing and availability. So, you can see the rankings are pretty damn clear. But I'll just say, you got some fighters maybe coming off a fight, injured, negotiating another bout, unavailable due to contract obligations. You just never know. So instead of waiting, sanctioning bodies often move to the next available option. That's why you hear multiple names like Itauma, Hrgovic, and Zhang. But at the end of the day, how you considering them all at once? You'd be surprised if you offer somebody the right money. You'd be surprised how they won't get injured. They won't look elsewhere. They won't pull a goddamn Richardson Hitchens. But it's really about it's about what's best for those sanctioning bodies, but also who's ready, who's available, who's marketable right now. There's a lot of things that come into play. I just don't like all that gray area bullshit. I'm a black and white guy. It's either green light go or red light stop. And that's just how I'm wired. Some people deal with the gray area. I'm just not that guy to deal with the trash. I don't have time for that. But what I do know is rankings are flexible by design. You know what I'm saying? A fighter look, you have fighters that are in certain positions. So when you look at rankings themselves, they're not as rigid as what I would like. Because sanctioning bodies, they can insert a fighter into a certain position, move fighters up quickly, justify changes based on recent performance. And the flexibility allows them to adapt, but it also creates a perception that rankings can be manipulated to support preferred matchups. I always think about Teddy Atlas talking about the conferences. You got the promoters, some fighters there, the commission there, judges there, referees there. And now you got a promoter who wants his guy to get ranked in the top 10 or top 5. Go to the bathroom. You got the person who can make that happen in this stall here standing up pissing. They got the divider. The promoter here standing up pissing. They're talking something and something and something. Pulls out that magic envelope, hands it over. Make sure not to look at his prick and shit. Give him the money. He puts it in his vest. He's out. Now his guy is ranked number 5. You ever wonder when you look at the goddamn rankings, you're like, how the hell did he get in there? I'll see, like Derek Chisholm. What's he doing ranked number 1 in a sanctioned body? Y'all think I'm joking? I ain't making that shit up. How the hell? Let's just look. Derek Chisholm is ranked in the IBF. Number 1 is vacant. He's ranked number 2. How? Lawrence Okoli in the WBC. He's ranked number 1. How? You know what I'm saying? Itauma, I mean, you kind of understand, but Okoli, Chisora, Frank Sanchez, ranked number 3 by the IBF. I mean, come on now, what are we doing here? And that's the shit that I'm talking about, where you just see things that don't make sense. That's why fans get frustrated, man. You got to understand the fans' perspective. The solution seems simple to me. Number 1 fights for a title, 2 fights 3, winner moves forward. Pretty damn simple. But boxing isn't structured like a league. That's why you got Zuffa out here stirring things up. Instead, it's a negotiation-based sport where money, timing, politics, business, relationships all play major roles. That's why what seems logical on paper rarely happens in reality. So what's really happening with this WBO bullshit, man? When you see them list multiple contenders like Itauma, Hrgovic, Zhang, what they're really doing is keeping flexibility. And essentially, they're letting us know, hey, we will approve the best available and most valuable fight. Pretty simple. Now, that doesn't mean that rankings don't matter. It means they are one factor among many, not the deciding factor, which sucks for us as boxing fans because there's no predictability. They're just hot goddamn winging it. And I don't like hot wings. Y'all keep cool, I'm in the breeze.